Hello everyone, welcome to Writing Quest. My name is Brendan Pugh, and in today's episode I'm going to talk to you about the music that I love to write to. Huzzah! Okay, so one of the things I discovered, honestly too late when I started writing, like far too late into my writing world, was that I needed to write to music. That was something that I think a lot of people do, but I just, new to writing, new to doing this whole thing, didn't start doing till much later. And I will tell you, if you're not writing to music, you really should. I think it helps focus you, it helps bring you into your story, especially if you can find music that really lines up with kind of the vibe of what you're trying to write. Even if you keep it really low, it just kind of helps set the tone nicely for what you're trying to do. So in this video, I'm going to tell you about 3 of my favorite artists to write to, and then one thing that I really can't do when listening to music while I write. Here we go. My number 1 person is Joe Blankenberg. You may or may not have heard of him. He is a really great composer. He puts out a lot of different styles. I discovered him when just kind of I was just looking through basically iTunes or Apple Music now. I was looking for something to write to, and I was just looking for cinematic type music, and I found him, particularly his album Elysium, which is from all the way back in 2012. I came across that, and the moment I heard it, it just really resonated with me for my story. So just the sounds and the kind of textures and all the different melodies and things, just like I could envision that if my book was a movie, I could envision what it looked like to this music. And so that's definitely the number 1 artist, but also album that I listen to while writing, because for the most part it sets the tone. What's also really cool about that is because most of the time I listen to that album when I write, it's kind of the Pavlov's dog's response, where I've trained myself when I start listening to that music, I get into story mode and I start thinking about my story and I start wanting to write. So that's kind of a cool little thing. The other thing that's nice about Joe Blankenberg is that he also releases a lot of music every year. Some years he's put out like 3, 4, 5 projects and they're like full albums. He's done some that are like a little more Western. He's done some that are very more fantasy vibes. There's a lot of things out there. So definitely check him out. It's Joe Blankenberg. He's definitely my favorite on this list, but the other 2 are not that shabby. Here's the next one. Number 2, this might be the most famous in the group, perhaps, but 2 Steps from Hell. 2 Steps from Hell, obviously they've been in this game a long time, putting out cinematic trailer type music. I think they even occasionally write trailer music for real movie trailers that come out. Their albums are really great, but the one thing that is different from like Joe Blankenberg's versus these, the 2 Steps from Hell music is definitely kind of trailer focused, so it's kind of very intense. There's not a lot of like softer moments or anything like that. So I generally will put on 2 Steps of Hell for if I'm writing a very heavy battle or action sequence, because it seems to give me some of that vibe. That's a lot of intensity. It's a lot going on. So definitely check them out as well. They have a whole bunch of albums. They put out stuff pretty regularly too. So 2 Steps from Hell, that's number 2. And number 3 is Future World Music. So this one's kind of new to me, so I don't know as much about them. I just kind of recently discovered them. They're very cinematic. It's a very much kind of a mix between 2 Steps of Hell and Joe Blankenberg, but they're seem to be a little more future focused, a little more techie, like if you're writing more of a space sci-fi type of thing. So Future World Music, definitely one to check out. They have a whole bunch of albums that you can check out. Again, I just started listening to these guys, so this is kind of a new one, so I haven't really worked them totally into my routine of writing and the music I listen to. And again, as I said before in the beginning, Joe Blankenberg's album Elysium is the one I generally pick to write to, because I feel like it just matches the vibe of my story that I'm going for. But definitely have a lot of options for Future World Music, so check them out as well. And then the last thing, one of the things I cannot do if I'm listening to music while writing is I cannot listen to anything that is known. So and what I mean by that is I can't listen to anything that I know, like Lord of the Rings music, Harry Potter music, Star Wars music, any of those very recognizable soundtracks. I've tried writing them before, and sometimes it has worked, but for the most part, what it does is I just kind of I just think about those particular stories. So what I would say is picking music that is nondescript, so it's not necessarily attached to a property that you already know, is definitely a better way to go. Now, what I will say, there is the caveat where if you're trying to kind of invoke the Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, or whatever, the vibe of that kind of music, then maybe it is the right thing to do, as long as you can, you know, maintain your own story and you don't start kind of morphing into whatever the known property is of that music. So that's definitely one thing that I personally can't do. If you can do that, I would just say make sure that you're not starting to, like, you know, if you're listening to Harry Potter music while you're writing, don't start writing Harry Potter. That's basically the gist of that. That's it for this episode of Writing Quest. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time in the next video. Make sure to comment, like, share, subscribe, all the things. Let me know if there's anything I'm missing, if there's any music that I should be listening to that I'm not listening to. Put that down below. I'd love to hear. I'm always looking for more resources and fresh things. Generally, whenever I start a new book or short story or novel, I try to find another album or something that really fits with that. So definitely send me stuff. I'm always ready to hear some more things. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Huzzah!